Rotate device. Oh shit. Rotate this thing. There we go. How's it look? How's it look? Oh man. What the hell? It has not asked me to rotate the device ever. Now it wants to ask. Alright, I think they got fixed now. Alright. Oh crap. Oh, that works. That works. Alright. Still getting adjusted here. Let everybody get ready for this game as we get ready for it as well. Welcome in everybody. Let's see what we can fix up here. Trying to get everything situated. You know, I eventually want to figure out how to get this set up on my laptop. That way I can control it from that perspective, because having to go away over here, press it to start going, and then to come back over here, it's just a lot. All right. So as you know, in a couple of minutes, probably right at an hour, we are going to be watching a really exciting game between the Boston Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks. If I could get my notes. There we go. There we go. Let me get my drink ready. As you know, this is a pregame show for a reason. It's not just a pregame show where we talk about the game. We actually pregame here, all right? And my drink of choice again is whiskey and Coke. As you can see here, whiskey and Coke. It's a pretty aggressive drink for a pregame scenario, but that's what we do here. All right, just trying to make sure I send out all the notifications, make it known that we're live at the moment. Set up this mic here. Throw stuff out the way. All right. Let's see. Anything else? Hold on. Let me put out one more notification out there just to make sure. You know, we gotta do our part, you know what I'm saying? And just send it out to the universe out there, making sure everybody is aware. Okay, what we got here? Move this over here. So I am pretty much excited for this game. I've been trying to find like some Celtics. How would I put it? You know, content creators. I've been trying to find them, but you know, no luck in doing so. What the heck is going on? There we go. All right, sorry about that. Okay. What we got here? All right, let me go ahead and shoot this to Twitter, the Twitterverse. Like I said, I need to get this to the point where I can do it off the laptop. Probably need to hit up We Talk Mavs on how to be able to manage so many things all at once. And I don't like how it don't let me rotate the camera. I wonder what the hell happened there. All right, here we go. Now let's get into the discussions today. If y'all have any comments, questions, anything y'all want to throw into this pregame show, throw it in there and we can make it a part of the show here. Because it's gonna be a doozy today. It's gonna be a really good game. I'm looking forward to it. As you see how I titled the video, it's the battle of the MVP candidates. For some reason, I like to theme out these pregame shows. As you know, it is Luka Doncic versus Jaylen Brown today. Oh, I mean Jason Tatum. All right, here's my dog. Say hello to my dog here. He's a little hyper. All right, so one of the things I wanted to touch on when it comes to this game, again, we got two MVP candidates on today. Luka Doncic, the MVP candidate for the Dallas Mavericks, and then you got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, which I do think he deserves some credit, but you already know Jason Tatum's going to get most of it. But Nonetheless, it's going to be an interesting game because the Mavericks, specifically Luka, has to get a win against Boston to really help his argument for MVP. For the all-time record between the Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks, they have played each other 83 games in the NBA season, and out of those 83 games, the Celtics have won 43 of them, and the Dallas Mavericks have won 40 of them. Pretty much, I did not expect to see the number that close, knowing and judging how successful the Celtics have been in the past. Because they've been a pretty successful team, if you ask me. You know what I'm saying? On top of that, today's game, Boston Celtics are bringing a record to Dallas of 26-12, and the Dallas Mavericks are 22-16. However, the Celtics, what is my dog doing? Hey, don't mess with that. Dogs. So the Celtics, they're coming into the city on a, what are they doing? They're 5-5 over the last 10 games, and they're riding the 2-game losing streak at the time. And the Dallas Mavericks are 8-2 over the last 10 games, and they are riding a 7-game winning streak, which is the longest since 2011, which should bode pretty good results for us. If we're talking about, repeating history, that'd be great if we could go and make the NBA Finals and potentially another trophy. But that's, too far ahead, thinking too far ahead. Now, another thing about the Boston Celtics, they have a extremely, extremely good team. They made the NBA Finals last year. And prior to this year, prior to their victory, not this year, last year, but this season, prior to this season, Luka has had the Boston Celtics number for the last couple of years, hitting a couple dagger threes to beat them, which a dagger three was needed to beat them. As far as the Celtics players are concerned, they have Jason Tatum, again, an MVP candidate. He is averaging 30.8 points per game. You got Jaylen Brown, which I feel like he's like somewhat of an MVP candidate. He is averaging 27.2 points per game. And I'm not saying he is the MVP candidate, but without him, the Celtics aren't where they are. Malcolm Brogdon, a new addition that they got, he's averaging 13.1 points per game and about 4 to 5 assists per game, which is really good when you consider he is coming off of the bench. They also have the Defensive Player of the Year in Marcus Smart. He's averaging 11 points per game and about 7.4 assists a game as well. They also have Derek White, really good player, role player. They also have Al Horford, another good, solid center. They also have Grant Williams. I believe that's how you say his name, Grant Williams, and then Robert Williams, I believe. So they have a lot of Williamsons on their team, and they're a really good, solid team. They have a solid, really solid top 8 to 9 players, and their top 9 players are vastly far better than our top 9 players. However, they just don't have a better top player in Luka Doncic. We have Luka, all right? We got Spencer Dinwiddie. We have Christian Wood. And then depending on if we're healthy, we got Josh Green, Dorian Finney-Smith, Dwight Powell, which I wouldn't say is like one of our top players, but actually he is because of the situation we're in. But when you compare the rosters, you kind of know Luka Doncic is more of a carrying the team to be successful, as opposed to Tatum. He has a really good team. All he has to do is come out there and ball, right? As far as today's game, I really would like to see the Mavericks, even though they are depleted from an injury perspective. I would like to see them be able to give us something, make it to the point where they could keep it competitive versus the last game we played against the Boston Celtics. In Boston, we got pretty much trashed as far as our game was concerned versus those guys up there in Boston. However, I know Luka has been on a tear recently. Now, are we expecting for that tear to come down a bit? I hope not, because I would like to see on a big-time stage like this against big-time players, I don't think Luka's going to come up short. It's really going to come down to how they play him defensively and what they consider is going to be the best strategy for the Celtics. The Celtics might just want to play him man up because they do have the players to be able to play him man up. But if they want to somehow come up with let's double him on every opportunity, then that would work too. But is it really going to work if we're making our shots? If we're making our shots, this game is a lot more competitive, and it gets blown wide open for the Dallas Mavericks, because if the Dallas Mavericks are making their shots, they can beat anybody. We pretty much know that to be a fact. As far as the injury report is concerned, the Dallas Mavericks have Maxi Kleber, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Josh Green listed as out. They are listed as out, and to say the least, that is it sucks, because you would like to have these guys back. So three of your main, how would I say, role players, starters are out. That's pretty tough. As far as the Boston Celtics, the only player that they have out on the injury report is Gallinari, which I think he got injured early in the season, before the season even started. So that's pretty unfortunate for them. As far as the Celtics are concerned, their last couple of games have been, as far as their games where they've been losing recently, it's been pretty tough. A couple of days ago on the 3rd, they lost to the Thunder 150-117, and they also lost to the Nuggets 123-111. So again, they're right in the 2-game losing streak. They lost to a really good team in the West in the Nuggets, and then they lost to a middle of the pack team, Thunder, as well. Now the Mavericks, I would say, were top 4, so we're not middle of the pack. We're up there. So are they going to show up tonight and make a statement against the Dallas Mavericks, or are they more so going to, how we put it, give another stinker? Let me know in the comments below what you think the Dallas Mavericks are going to do tonight. I would like to think that Luka's probably going to get about 40. It's crazy to think that, and I would never, ever, ever, ever take Luka Doncic for granted at all, ever. But he is in that echelons of, he is capable of this. And the dude is definitely capable of a 40-point game. And I would hope it's a 40-point triple-double, preferably a 50-point triple-double against the Boston Celtics. Now, in the last game against the Boston Celtics, the Celtics, they kind of put a number on the Dallas Mavericks as far as how that went. It was not a pretty game for us. To tell you how that went, let me find it. Here we go. So the last game we played against the Celtics was November the 23rd, and we lost 125-112. It was a pretty rough game. I know they made a little push in the third quarter and in the fourth quarter, but it just wasn't enough of a push for us to be like, we're a shot away, as opposed to earlier in the year when Dinwiddie hit that clutch shot to give us the lead against the Celtics on a Sunday. I think it was a matinee game Sunday in Boston. Yeah, and this is like fresh off the trade when we got Spencer Dinwiddie. So we've had success against this team. We've had plenty of clutch shots, of dagger shots against this team. I don't see why we shouldn't be able to, because on this team, I don't see a player being able to hold Luka Doncic. I really do think it's going to come down to if we can make shots. But I also think if Christian Wood cannot be in foul trouble, that'll definitely help us a lot as well. Because if he's in foul trouble, who is going to protect the rim tonight? You don't have Maxi Kleber. Dwight Powell is not the greatest, rim protector. And is McGee going to get some run? And if he gets some run, is it going to be a productive set of minutes for him? Is he going to be able to give us something as opposed to what he's given us the majority of the year? And I think that's just due to we probably reached when it came to signing McGee. But whatever McGee can give us today, that'd be great. I just don't see it. So it's going to come down to Christian Wood having to carry a load, not only offensively, but also defensively, and being able to make shots. Like, you got to make shots tonight. That's the only way you're going to be able to beat the Celtics. Now, let me see some advanced stats here, because this is what we do, right? Advanced stats. And again, feel free to leave some comments below, man. We're here to chop it up leading up to the game time. I think the game is at 6:40 Central Time, so that means 7:40 Eastern Time. And it's nice. It's nice to have an earlier game because I get to go to sleep earlier. So the Boston Celtics, they rank first in points per game. They rank 13th in rebounds per game with 43.7. As far as their points per game, they average 118 per game. That's crazy. As far as assists per game, they average 26.6, and they're in 7th place. As far as opposition points per game, they are 15th, holding opponents to 113 points. Pretty good stuff. Let's see here. So their offensive rating so far this year is 109.4, and their defensive rating is 106.4. Pretty good. We got a pace of 97. We got assist to turnover ratio 1.64. Again, this is a solid, not just a solid team. This is a really good team. I know there's probably players I haven't even mentioned as far as how they play coming off of the bench, but is that something to quote unquote laugh at? Like, they're a really good team, and it's not to undermine what they bring to the table. This is a solid good team. If we could find a way to beat this team tonight, it helps Luka Doncic. How would I put it? His quote unquote MVP argument. But again, I already think Luka is MVP. I don't think there's really much for him to prove. Just to maintain his stats. If he can maintain his stats and stay at the number 4 position, as far as like how the West is concerned, if he can stay top 4 in the West, it's really his MVP to lose because his stats are there, his advanced stats are there. He's leading the league in points. He's carrying a team with a bunch of injuries and not a specific, bona fide number 2 option, which I do think Christian Wood could be a bona fide number 2 option. But I don't think the majority of the people believe that that's a number 2. And with that being said, Christian Wood has given us really good minutes. And I think we need to stop doing the whole holding this man, how would I put it, reprimanding him for his past teams that he's had to jump ship to as to why the Mavericks don't want to give him a contract. Like, I don't understand that if the issue is 4 years and they want to give him 2, then hopefully they could compromise at 3, because I would like for us to be able to keep Christian Wood here as a Dallas Maverick as opposed to trading the guy or giving him a 2-year deal. 2-year deal is really disrespectful for what he's been able to give you this year, especially the way we started this year with him. We weren't like the best of organizations for him, where we were just kind of holding him back and kind of forcing him to earn his role, which in theory it makes sense and it's working out so far. But imagine where we could have been if we had placed him in the starting role earlier. Like, shout out to all the what we call the Twitter coaches, because they've been right this entire time. Because Jason Kidd, he just, when it comes to making decisions, it'd be like that one SpongeBob thing.
One eternity later.
He'd be taking forever to make decisions, man. I don't understand why Kidd was like that. But thankfully, the last couple of games, the last 8 games, I would say, last 8 to 9 games, Jason Kidd has adjusted his lineups, I think partly because he had to, and also because I hope it was because he wanted to, because he needed to. He needed to make changes to that starting lineup. He needed to make changes to who was going to get more minutes on this squad, especially with injuries to Dorian Finney-Smith and Josh Green. It really didn't make it a good situation for us to be able to maintain what we were doing at the time. So for Jason Kidd to be able to adjust and now pull off 7 straight wins, yeah, and it might be against subpar teams. We might have had some luck against the New York Knicks, which is an amazing game by Luka. Yeah, there's a lot of things you could point out to how we played, but these 7 games are also the games that we would have lost to start the season. So we could have lost 7 straight. But the fact that you won 7 straight without your starters, some of your starters and key role players, it was amazing. And the fact that Christian Wood has been a part of that in the starting role the entire time leads us to believe that Twitter coaches have been right the entire time. Have been right. We have been right. And there's no other way to say it. Put on some Mavericks gear on. Again, I anticipate our starting lineup tonight being Luka Doncic, Spencer, Tim Hardaway Jr., Bullock, and Christian Wood. But honestly, I would prefer Luka, Spencer, Tim Hardaway Jr., Christian Wood, and Powell. Honestly, I would like that because You don't want to have Christian Wood just man in the 5 position the entire game. That's not smart necessarily, but that's probably the best lineup we could put out there. Because as far as like who you're going to bring off the bench, you got Kimball Walker, you got Frank, you got Hardy that you're not really going to give minutes to as far as playing in this kind of game. In the magnitude of this game, you're really not going to give minutes. And McKinley Wright has been really, really solid in this time when he does come out there. So I think McKinley Wright is going to get some minutes tonight. I hope Kimba could get a few. I don't see why he wouldn't. I don't see why he wouldn't benefit this team and giving us at least 10 minutes tonight. But I do think they're going to throw the kitchen sink at Luka. I think they know that the other 2 players that we have as far as being able to produce their own points is Christian Wood and Spencer Dinwiddie. And I think they're really going to just try to force the ball out of Luka Doncic's hand. But again, if you're doing that and if we're making shots, I say this over and over, if we're making shots, we could beat anybody. And especially when you got Luka Doncic, that really helps your case when it comes to beating a juggernaut like the Boston Celtics are. Again, if y'all have any comments below, man, post them. Ask me what you got. And I know I had someone someone asked me to come up with a trade package for the Dallas Mavericks on this pregame show. And as far as a trade package, I know we're discussing we're discussing Zach LaVine as a trade option for us, and I don't. Oh wow. Sorry about that. I need to put this on airplane mode. But no, as far as trade packages for the Dallas Mavericks, I feel with the whole Zach LaVine thing, that's been pretty interesting as far as what we could throw to the Chicago Bulls to get him. And I've been open to the idea of if we could get Zach LaVine, I'm open to dealing Jaden Hardy. As long as it doesn't impact us having to trade Josh Green or Spencer Dinwiddie or Christian Wood. If it doesn't involve any of those players, then I'm all for it because Zach LaVine, we know what he is right now. And Jaden Hardy is definitely a prospect. And I think Jaden Hardy has the potential to be like a Zach LaVine without the hops. You know, I do think Jaden Hardy has potential. He has really good potential. Now, what type of potential he's going to reach being on the Dallas Mavericks, that's going to be interesting. I got a comment from Rivs. I hope I'm saying your name correct. Rivs. THJ, Bertans, Hardy, and a pick for LaVine. I totally agree. With that assessment and those players for LaVine. I am all for that because here's what LaVine does, right? LaVine replaces Tim Hardaway Jr.'s production. He replaces the need for a Hardy right now. And what he does, he doesn't require us to not need Josh Green's, development or even his production. So with LaVine, we're able to keep Green. If we were to bring another 3-and-D player that is already advanced, then I could see dealing Green and keeping Hardy. You get what I'm saying? With LaVine, he is a player that could go get his own points. He could shoot from wherever, and he could dunk. He's very athletic, and I think he checks off the boxes for replacing Tim Hardaway Jr., replacing a Bertans, replacing a Hardy. I think Zach LaVine is that kind of win-now player in this situation. If you were able to trade that, I'm all for it. Additionally, though, if we were able to get LaVine, I still think we should try. See his little pause here or mess with me. I still think we should try to go get OG. I would love to get OG as a Dallas Maverick. I think OG being paired up with Luka would be so ideal. We're talking about a defensive player that can really hoop. We're talking about a player that has all-star potential if it gets unlocked. And we're talking about a player that is super young, without a massive contract yet, that we can try to leverage something for him. Now, who could we trade for OG? That's a great question. It's a great question. Thankfully, I am not Nico Harrison in this situation because I'd be willing to trade just about anybody for OG, to be honest with you. It's just we're such in a difficult spot for the Dallas Mavericks that it makes it difficult if you give up Christian Wood, you give up size, but if you give OG, you're making one of your wing players do more than their how would I say, used to doing, right? You're gonna make OG have to play like Christian Wood. Like I don't think that's suitable for him. So it really makes it difficult as far as how they can utilize their players to get other players. Harold, what's up, bro? We need to get either OG or Grant Williams. 1,000% agree on OG. On Grant Williams, I would like to get him. I just don't want to give up a whole boatload for him, but I would like to get him. He's a pretty good shooter. He has his moments where he gets really streaky and really hot, but I know he can play defense as well. But my preference is definitely OG. If we get Grant somehow, some way, I'm all for getting Grant Williams. That'd be awesome. Ribs, we need another big also. Maybe if we throw McGee in the package, we get Drummond with Levine. I think if you're dealing THJ, Bertans, Hardy, and McGee, and a pick for Levine, and you want to get Drummond out of that, I think we'd have to throw in another pick, and I would throw like 2 to 3 second-round picks instead of a first. That's what I would do. I don't think we had trade exceptions. I don't think we have cash considerations, you know what I'm saying, considerations. So I don't know if we have any other thing to utilize for us to be able to, how would I put it, kind of soften the deal, to make the deal worthy for the recipient. But again, Nico is going to have to get creative, and more creative than we think we're getting. He's going to have to go on a whole different level. And if you're going to trade Spencer or Christian Wood, you got to find a deal that's going to replace those guys' production, regardless of what it is, because you might have to deal those guys just to get the guy you want to get. Harold, Grant is in a contract year, free agent in the offseason. That's great because maybe we could get him for a pick and a player. The only issue with Grant is that for our front office is, are we going to have cap space? And I don't think we're going to have cap space. And that's partly the problem with the Dallas Mavericks. We have no cap space. We're capped out. We're in the luxury tax. And then we don't have really good players. You know what I'm saying? We don't really have good players to move. And if the players that we want to move, they're one of our younger prospects that we don't want to lose because we know they get built with Luka. So it's really, really a tough situation. And like I say over and over, Nico's going to have to get super, super, super creative when making a deal. Again, for those joining in, shout out to you. Glad you joined in. Again, the Dallas Mavericks are taking on the Boston Celtics in the AA today. And the Celtics are riding a 2-game losing streak, and the Mavericks are riding a 7-game dub winning streak. So it's going to be a battle of the MVPs, the MVP candidates. So we're going to see who wins. And I think it's going to be really big for Luka to be able to show out and show up and show out against the Boston Celtics. Ribs, if we could get off THJ and Bertans' contract, we could go after Grant and free agency. Solid. Amazing point. That's an amazing point. Totally agree. If that's the case, then yeah, you could definitely do that. I think it opens up, I don't know how much it would open up, but Bertans is at 16. THJ is at 18. So what's that, like 34 million? That would open up. I don't know how deep we are in the cap. Let's look. Let's all do some investigative work here, right? Dallas Mavericks salary cap. Dallas Mavericks salary cap. Yeah, that's a previous season. Here we go. Cap table. Let's look at the table here. All right. Cool. This lets me manage a roster. You know, these things have really become extremely something else, managing the roster. Crazy. Okay, so Tim Hardaway Jr. contract expires in 2025, and he is owed $19 million. And Bertans, same thing, 2025, and is owed $16 million. As far as the cap space, how much cap space we got? This is just show me here. Now we got a couple of cap holds. We still got Millie on our books as a cap hold. Jeez, we need to let that go, man. All right, cap tracker. All right, here we go. Cap space. So the Dallas Mavericks have a projected practical cap space of negative 46.79 million. So we're in a cap hole. So even if we get Tim Hardaway Jr. and Bertans off the books, it does something. It'll get us closer to being even, and maybe we can utilize a mid-level exception. I don't know. We'd have to do sign and trade to get Grant Williams. 1,000% we'd have to do sign and trade to get Grant Williams. So like I said, it's possible. It's possible to do these things, especially with signing trades, mid-level exceptions, all that stuff. It's possible for sure, 1,000%. Harold, Grant, $4 million, probably the contract we wasted on JaVale. We could get him. If we can. Here's the thing. Would you be willing? Okay, I see where you put there, Harold. Luka, Levine, OG, Grant, Turner. I would love that. The thing is, you probably would have to literally ship Spencer, Wood, Dorian Finney-Smith, Green, Hardy. You're going to have to deal Green and Hardy to be able to get those other players. Would you? Let me throw this out there. If you could get a Luka, Levine, OG, Grant, and Turner as your starting five and have no depth necessarily, right? No depth. Would you do it? Would you have a strong starting five and have your bench players be sub-decent players? Or would you rather have that top five and then also, or have a subpar top five and then have a really good bench? Harold said yes. Hell yeah. You rather have that top five, right? You rather have the top five that once you put them in, they're good to go. Man. I ain't mad at that. It's just you would have to manage the minutes intelligently. I think if you could get a five like that, you could find a way to get another piece to manage the offense when Luka sits. And Luka ain't really sitting that much, to be honest. He ain't really sitting that much. So it would be better to find a way to have a bench player be able to handle the offense when Luka comes off the bench. Comes off the court. Negative 46 mil. Nico got to do something ASAP. Get rid of TSJ, Bertans, McGee contract, and we're in the positive on cap. Totally agree. I think for you to be able to bring in players that have cap space, you're going to have to trade, like you said, Tim Hardaway Jr. and Bertans. I would like to be able to trade Tim Hardaway Jr. and Bertans, package them up, soften it with like 3 second-round picks or just 1 first-round pick, and hopefully it brings you back a player that's still in his 20s, 28, 27-ish, that can come to this squad and give you something for a couple of years, that not only helps your cap space, but also gives you some cap space. You get what I'm saying? Like someone that's around 15 million, about 27 years old, and it's either a 3-and-D type of player. Like, that'd be great. But again, that's speculative. As far as who I would like, again, all right, if you're managing the team, are you going to accept a trade with Tim Hardaway Jr. and Bertans? The only way I would accept that is if I know I need to tank, and I know I need to restart this entire franchise, and I know I need picks. The only way I do that is if I know, say, what are teams out here that have horrible records? Let's do that. Let's look at teams that have horrible records, and let's see where we could cherry pick from, right? NBA standings. There we go. All right, here we go. I want to look at the standings real quick, and this will give us an idea. All right, so the worst teams in the Eastern Conference right now are the Charlotte Hornets at 10-29. The Boston, no, not the Boston, not Boston at all. Sorry, it's the whiskey. Detroit Pistons at 11-30. Orlando Magic at 14-24. Toronto Raptors at 16-22. That's crazy. And the Washington Wizards at 17-22. And then you got the Bulls at 17-21. The Hawks at 18-20. And let's look in the West. The West, you got the Houston Rockets at 10 and 28. I'm not sure if they're going to want to trade anybody because they got you got a young nucleus. San Antonio Spurs at 12 and 26. The Thunder ain't trading anybody unless they're going to try to go all in next year. They're 16 and 22. And the Lakers will love to do something to fix their team. They're 17 and 21. So out of the teams I see here that are like tanking, like just horrible right now, are the Toronto Raptors, bro. I mean, they're 16 and 22. They're right there. They're bottom 4 in the East. And they would be bottom 4 in the West. All right, so I will target the Raptors. And reason for that is because OG. Orlando Magic, they have Bombo, which I'm all for getting Bombo. Whatever it takes. But I'd be interested in shipping something that doesn't harm our starting or our role players. Detroit Pistons. Who would I be willing to cherry pick from over there? The Charlotte Hornets. Hayward. If you could trade a second round pick for him, I'd do it. And then you got the Spurs and Rockets really ain't going to trade you much of their newer assets. That's for sure. So that'll be interesting to see how the Thunder really ain't going to trade you stuff and the Lakers ain't going to trade you stuff. Hey, over here. My dog over here messing with stuff. So, yeah, I mean, the only team I see, unless the Utah Jazz wants to do something, everyone else is not really going to trade players. But I can see Toronto doing that. Now, I know Hawks are talking about Trae Young. I've kind of gotten away from the whole idea of Trae Young. I wouldn't mind him being with the Dallas Mavericks, but yeah, that's not gonna work. It's not gonna work for sure at all. But the Toronto Raptors, they got a horrible record. They got a player that we would love to have here. Who else they got on there? I know they got a center on there. I can't really pronounce his name right now off the top of my head. I would love to get Barnes, but I know we're not gonna get Barnes at all. Where's his name? Butcher. There, Chris Butcher. The dude, he is a forward/center, 6'9", 200 pounds. How old is he? He is 29 years old. God, look. He's a young guy. He's still young, man. But in NBA years, he's getting up there. But I wouldn't mind him. I wouldn't mind him over McGee. 1,000%. I would not mind him. Give me a second. Hey. Come here. There we go. All right. Sorry about that, guys. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind him over McGee if we could get Boucher. Yeah. All right. What we got in the comments? My bad, guys. No, Bertans and THJ rotten products needs to be shipped separately. It depends on what you could get. Ribs. Toronto is a play, though. They might blow up their team and can possibly get OG from them. Well, where's the prayer hands, right? I wish I could put prayer hands on this video. I would love to get OG. Oh, and Trent Jr. Trent Jr., that'd be great. Harold, $30 million Hayward contract is too much. Again, would you... And I would like to think more realistically because you got to think about what the hell we're sending, right? We're sending Tim Hardaway Jr. and Bertans. If you were to combine those players, are you okay with getting Hayward for Bertans and Tim Hardaway Jr.? And when does Hayward's contract end? And I'm not saying that's a hill I'm willing to die on, but for the sake of changing something, I'm for it. But it's not that I'm willing to die on that hill necessarily. Contract. Let's see Gordon Hayward's contract. There we go. So his contract. Oh no. Yeah, no. Hard pass on Hayward. He's owed $30 million this year, and then he's owed $31 million next year. Hard pass. Sorry I brought that up. That'd be a big mistake. We're trying to save some cap space here. We're trying to make some moves, and it's got to be a 1-year player that kind of levels out your cap space, like a Russell Westbrook. If the Dallas Mavericks would have gotten to a place where they were just like bad, I would have been willing to get Westbrook because he would open up some cap space for you as opposed to Hayward. Hayward, yeah, a whole nother year. Who the hell gave him that deal, man? Ribs, we need to find teams that are desperate for shooters so we can finesse. Facts. All right, let me ask y'all this: Who are the teams that are desperate for shooters? The Lakers. I think the Lakers are desperate for shooters. My guy's sounding better. My guy's sounding better yet. Richard, what are you talking about? Which guys? I know you put some players in here the other day. Harold, Lakers. Yeah, Lakers are desperate for shooters. Who would you want to get from the Lakers? All right? Is there really anybody on the Lakers other than I would take Denny and Kuzma. Yes. I'm glad you brought those guys up. Denny and Kuzma. All right, and I'm asking y'all realistically, what players could we send to get Denny and Kuzma, Kessler and Vanderbilt? Where's Vanderbilt? Is this the Timberwolves or the Jazz? Did the Timberwolves deal Vanderbilt to the Jazz? I'm not sure. I forgot. But if we could get Denny, because I think Denny's extremely underrated. Denny, the Jazz. Yeah. It just depends if the Jazz are willing to blow it up. They're 19 and 22. They're in the thick of it. They're in the plan. And I know Danny Ainge, he's really crazy when it comes to picks. I don't see why he wouldn't try to deal Vanderbilt. I try to get Vanderbilt like hell. Kessler, that'd be nice to have him too, but Vanderbilt's definitely would be my first option for sure. But the Denny and Kuzma, I wouldn't mind Kuzma, but I would love to have Denny. Whatever it takes. That's not a whatever it takes, but it'd definitely be like, I'm willing to trade like Josh Green for that duo. Lakers and Bulls. Bulls shoot the least threes in the league. Bradley Beal's gettable. The problem, we can't send Bertans and Dinwiddie on the deal. Ribs, let me get to your point. Bulls shoot the least threes in the league. Is that because of the coach, and that's like the coaches that the coach has put out there, or is that because they just don't have really good 3-point shooters? I know they got homeboy. What's his damn name, man? I forgot his name. I can't believe I forgot his name. Yeah, but he just shoots a bunch of middies. I don't blanked on his name. Harold, the Bradley Beal. I think that's kind of a wash now. I don't know if Bradley Beal could come to this team and give you much, because I don't see him being able to give the Wizards more than 21 a night. Which 21 a night? Yes, DeMar. There you go. Thank you, DeMar DeRozan. Appreciate that. Bradley Beal, I don't know if he's the same guy that he used to be. Maybe it's going to take him a year to get back into shape and the form, which if that's the case, it would work, but you got to think of that deal, man. That deal is crazy. I don't know how much he's getting. I think he's going to get like 50 mil a year. You're going to have to give up Tim Hardaway. You can't even give up Bertans. You're going to have to give up Tim Hardaway and who else? And a bunch of firsts for him. And I don't know. I think if we hold on to Hardy, he could become not what Bradley Beal is. I'm not trying to overhype Hardy, but I think he has the potential to be able to give you 20 a game. I think Hardy could become a player that Bradley Beal is right now, 21 points a game. I think he could become that for sure. Richard, Reggie or DFS and a swap for Denny and a pick for Kuzma. Obviously Reggie, right? We want to send Reggie first. So yeah, I send Reggie and a swap for Denny. Yeah. If they take Reggie, by all means. But we also got to send him another player for Kuzma. Which, who's that going to be? Is that going to be? Oh, that'd be tough. Again, my idea is not to send Christian Wood, unless the player we're getting back is far better than Christian Wood, for sure. Ribs, Bulls don't have shooters. That's why. Oh, and Bill will be making 50 a year. Yeah, that deal is crazy, bro. That deal is crazy. I think Bradley Beal would have made sense 2-3 years ago, but now that he's been getting hurt, and then he signed that massive contract, and then now you have a decent team and you're not doing well enough. That's pretty rough. Richard Case, Dorian. Yeah, Dorian. You probably have to send Reggie and Dorian to get Denny and Kuzma. Would I do it? Yes, I'd do it. And I know Luka has said that he wants to play with Dorian the rest of his career. I'm sorry, Luka. We about to get you some better players, though. I love Dodo. Love Dodo. Love Dodo for whatever he's been able to do. How far he's came into the league. It's been amazing. And yeah, at this point, you have to like not attach yourself to certain players. The only player you need to attach yourself to is Luka, right? And as much as I love Dorian, I'd be willing to ship him for Denny and Kuzma, because y'all are sleeping on Denny. Not you, Richard, but I think a lot of people sleep on Denny. Uh, Harold, I'd like to get Caruso and Levine. I would too. I would too. It is really going to come down to how the Bulls evaluate Caruso, and also how they evaluate Levine. They're going to probably try to get the entire thing from us, like everything we got. And I don't know if we're going to be willing to trade all of that. Rivs, I trade Reggie for a bag of chips and be happy. Richard, I would in a second. Yeah, I agree. I would in a second. It hurt. It would hurt because, us Mavs fans, we get attached to these players. And I would definitely be a little bit hurt for Dorian Finney-Smith, because Luka and him, they have a good connection off the court. But we got to win, bro. We got to win. We got to get players up in here. You know what I'm saying? So, but the Caruso and Levine would help too. It's just I don't want to give up too much size in that deal. Like, we'd have to get some really good players. So let's talk about today's game, if y'all don't mind. Besides all this trade talk, what do y'all think is going to happen? Do y'all think Luka and Tatum are going to match up one-on-one? Again, I'm predicting a Luka 40 points triple double tonight. Again, it's going to be on TNT, I believe. It's going to be on TNT. You're facing one of the top team in the East, right? They've been to the NBA Finals, so they're getting all the hype. Tatum is the number one MVP candidate, according to the Eastern bias media, right? And Tatum's a great player. I ain't hating on Tatum. He's an amazing player, but let's be for real, right? Could Tatum be on this team currently with the roster we got and be 22-16? What would the record be in Boston if Luka was replaced Tatum? Like, come on, bro. Come on. Let's be for real. And I know that's more narrative talk, but as far as like MVP, deciding MVPs, who your MVP is, right now is Luka. And if Luka can win tonight against Tatum, it improves his case by that much more. Richard, Caruso, yes, but I'm alone. Zach's knees scare me. Yeah, his knees scare me too, bro. Rivs, Finney, my guy, but the team success comes first. Yes, I agree. It will hurt like hell, but we want to win championships, and the way to win championships is to surround Luka with more talent, even if it means you got to ship out some of your good talent, which sucks, but you got to do it. Harold, a Luka 50 piece tonight. Man, imagine he gets a 50 piece on TNT against the Boston Celtics and beats the Boston Celtics fully healthy, and we're without three of our main role players. He's the MVP at that point, right? Like, how do you argue that? How do you argue that Luka is not MVP? Like I was telling the other day, those that argue against Luka being MVP, they need to go argue with their mom, because we ain't listening to that. We ain't. I'm sorry. Ribs, Luka is way better than Tatum. He is. As far as a defender, there's a little bit to be desired for Luka, but as far as an offensive talent, Tatum is good. He's really good. Great, but he's not as great as Luka as far as everything Luka can do. And I love Tatum. He has a badass game. I mean, come on now. Kobe did I forgot what he called his little segments where he talked about the player's game and this and that. The Kobe pieces that he did on Tatum were flat out amazing, and I learned from Kobe a lot on those pieces that he did for ESPN. I think he called them detail. Yeah, details or detail. And yeah, amazing. Richard, I hope Wood comes ready, shuts Tatum down, and gets first triple-double. Okay. And Luka does Luka stuff. Yes, sir. Yo, if Wood ever gets a triple-double on this team, which he has a capability of whenever you're doing the pick and roll and, he gets those pocket passes, and then he swings that pass for like the hockey assist for Luka, and he'll get the assist, obviously. He could get a triple-double on this team. It's totally possible for Wood. It'll be like a 16 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists, kind of triple-double for Wood. That'd be pretty cool to see. Luka and Wood both dropped 35 apiece tonight. I would love to see that. That'd be crazy. And if they do drop 35, we need Tim Hardaway Jr. to give us at least 15, and we need another 15 from Spencer. And that should be enough with the rest of the supporting cast. They hit a couple of threes, play some defense, get some key defensive stops in the fourth quarter. That should be enough to win, to be honest. Should be enough. Should be enough. Harold, Tatum is more athletic, which helps his defense. That's all. Yep. And I don't know if Luka is still top one as far as guards in on defensive rating. But I know that stuff's skewed sometimes. I know the whole defensive win share is kind of skewed depending on, what you do, right? But Luka's defense has been far more better this year. He's averaging a really good amount of steals. I think he's averaging almost 2 a game. I would like to assume, but I could look it up. I know he's averaging quite a bit of steals. Let's see, Luka stats, 2022. Let's see what he's got right now. Luka statistics. So again, Luka is averaging 34.3 points per game, number 1 in the league, averaging 8.8 rebounds, 8.9 assists, literally 9 assists, 9 rebounds, and 50% from the field. That is nuts, bro. That is nuts. For the season, where we at with Luka? For the season, Luka is averaging 1.7 steals per game. 1.7 steals per game. I don't know where that ranks him as far as all of the players in the NBA. Let's see if I can find that stat real quick. Let's see. Steals. Oh, that's crazy. Hold on. The steals leaders in the NBA right now. Let's see if y'all can keep up. Yeah, because y'all going to be like... Number one in the steals leaders, right? Number 1 is OG Anunoby with 2.2 steals per game. Number 2 is DeAnthony Melton with 2 steals a game. Number 3 is DeJounte Murray with 1.8 steals a game. Number 4 is Tyrese Halliburton with 1.8 steals per game. And then, tied for fifth, but because one player has played 4 more games than Luka, they're going to be 5th, right? But 5th is Anthony Edwards with 1.7 steals per game. And then 6th is yours truly, Luka Doncic with 1.7 steals per game. Luka is top 6 in steals, tied for 5th in steals. Who would have thought that, right? Who would have thought that? That's crazy. Where the haters at, man? Like, how can you hate on that? Luka is top 4 in assists per game, and Luka is number 1 in points per game. Man. I bet the rest of the league is like
Emotional damage.
they're just like how's this guy just doing us like this, bro? How's he just out here making us look bad on this basketball court? All right, what we got here? Luka's way better than Tatum. Let me catch up on these comments. All right, Harold. Tatum's more of an athlete. Yup. Harold, hot take. Jaylen Brown is better than Tatum. That is a hot take. A lot of people are willing to go there. If you ask me, damn, am I willing to go there? I'm not willing to go there necessarily, but I think, damn, I don't know what I think. But I do think Tatum benefits having Brown on his team for sure. Tatum benefits from this whole team, to be honest. But Tatum's a great player. But I would still take Tatum over Brown. Let's be honest. But that is a hot take. I think in certain regards you could put Brown over Tatum in the specific type of category. But overall, you're gonna take Tatum. But that says a lot to how Luka should be MVP. Amount snacks. I hope I said that correctly. I don't care what PER says. Luka has far more impact on the game than Jokic. Jokic is number 2 best, or best number 2. I don't see him being the number 1 option on a title team. And here's the other thing. I'm glad you said that, amount of snacks, whichever you want me to call you. I totally agree. I don't know why people are saying Joker is above Luka in the MVP category. I don't get that. Because he was MVP last year as a 6th seed. Luka is a 4th seed right now with a far worse roster necessarily than Joker has ever had, and he's putting up far better stats than Joker is. Because Joker's averaging like 26 a game, like 11 rebounds, about 9, 10 assists a game. Luka's averaging 34, 9 and 9. He's giving you almost 8 more points, and it is literally even on the other categories. Like, come on, bro. Come on. And he's probably giving you more assists. I haven't seen the blocks. But Luka's impact is far more bigger because he elevates your ceiling for your team. Without Luka, Luka's the greatest equalizer. You can have 3 good players on the other side. Luka accounts for each one of them. That's how good he is. He is good as 3 great players are. That's how good Luka is, man. Richard Case, they still dream of the past when centers mattered. Here's another thing. You know what the MVP how is decided? How Stephen A. Smith, Greeny, Jalen Rose, Michael Wilbon, how these guys have a vote to vote who the hell MVP is. How these guys have a vote for that? Make it make sense. Why do they have a vote? These guys that are driven on narrative, driven off who plays what, how they play, if they're European, if they're not, they allow the narrative to really seep into their decision making when who should be the MVP. And of course, the last couple of years has been Giannis and Joker that's been the MVPs. So really, can we say that, narrative works? But I guarantee you they didn't pick those players to be first in MVP category. So Rose played, the rest I can't explain. I think Rose having played gives him more of that wiggle room, but I think he's really converted. He's starting to convert over to that narrative talk, and that's what I hate. I think the NBA needs to create a criteria for what an MVP is, most valuable player, right? They have to be decent and winning. They got to be at least be a playoff team, right? You got to at least be a playoff team. 1, that's some of my criteria, and then 2, I think the person that should be MVP should be based on the league. I think it should be based on like executives, coaches, and I don't know if I want to say owners. I think like the general managers, the coaches should be voting on this for sure. And yeah, that's why I think who should be coaching. I mean, voting. It has to be the guys that could be in the league. And these guys marvel at these other players and how they play, and these other teams are going to be like, yeah, Luka deserves to be that guy, type of shit. Excuse my language. Well, we got 3 minutes to go before the game tips off. If y'all want to shoot any other comments in here, man, I really appreciate y'all hanging in here with me for almost an hour, bro. Like I didn't at the 20-minute mark, I was like, we ain't gonna make it to an hour, and we're somehow making it there. Really appreciate y'all asking me questions and all that stuff. It makes this even easier to go through. I appreciate it, man. Really do. Ribs, no one mentioned it, but I believe we can get Ayton from Phoenix without giving up Wood. Him and the coach are too far gone and don't want anything to do with each other. If you get Ayton here without giving up Wood, and say without giving up Spencer, if you don't have to give up Spencer and Wood and you could get Ayton, I'd be willing. Unless you're going to get Ayton and one of their point guards back, but I really don't like none of their point guards. You're going to have to rely on Kimba if you trade Spencer. It would work, but to get Ayton, I'd definitely do it. You could get players in the offseason on mid-level exceptions. So why am I talking? So yeah, go get Ayton as long as it doesn't cost Wood. I'm all for it. Snacks. Amount snacks. I hope I'm saying that right, bro. I'm actually surprised they aren't pushing Embiid more. I thought after getting snubbed last year, the media would be on it, but no, they seem to have forgotten him besides passing mentions. I think Embiid was up there. I think he should have been second behind Joker, honestly. And you could have made a really good case as to why Embiid should have been number 1. I know I made a case for Luka because they were talking about he was out of shape, but yet he was still Luka was out of shape, but he was still putting up numbers with the best players, and then had the best second half of the season up there with the Boston Celtics. But I think Embiid should get more hype. Honestly, now that you mention it, let's see where their record is at. Right, 76ers. 76ers. Let's see. So for the 76ers, they're 23-14, bro. They're 5th in the East. To me, I think here's how I'm looking at it. You have to be top 4 at minimum to win the MVP this season because it's so close. All these teams and conferences are so close, and that's why the Mavericks being in the 4th seed in the West. That's why I'm like, nah, Luka, right? But the Eastern, you're only separated by a game and a half, 2 games and a half. So yeah, if you're within 3 games of first, you definitely should be considered. And I do think in some circles Embiid is considered, but you also got Donovan Mitchell on the Cavaliers, you got KD on the Nets, you got Giannis on the Bucks, and you got Tatum on the Celtics. That's tough. That's tough. Donovan just put 71, bro. And then you got Luka on the Mavericks, on the Pelicans. Who can you really give MVP to? Zion's hurt right now, so it kind of hurts his case. The Grizzlies, 24-13. John Morant isn't necessarily putting stats up there that rivals Luka. And then the Nuggets. So really, Luka should be top in the West as far as the MVP candidate. And then in the East, it's really through the top 5 teams, to be honest. Yeah, Celtics, Bucks, Nets, Cavaliers, and 76ers. All 5 of those teams have an MVP candidate. And then in the West, you got the Nuggets and Mavericks that have an MVP candidate. Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. All right, guys, it's 6:40, man. I appreciate y'all jumping in here. Let's go enjoy this Mavericks game. Thank you so much. I'm going to catch you on the next pregame show, which will be Saturday against the Pelicans. And then right after that game, I'll be dropping my Mavs in 10 Part 4. Catch y'all then. It's been your boy TGK.